What's up, guys? Some huge news today. I've had the privilege of playing 6 days in Fallujah for about the last week. I'm going to lead off with just showing you the raw gameplay and then come around at the end for some thoughts of my own. Please keep in mind that everything you're seeing today is a pre-released version of the game, so it is imperfect. You may see some bugs. With all that being said, enjoy.
Vest cotted, I'm good. With you.
Raj.
Shooter house.
Shooter 12 o'clock, 100 meters.
Blue building,
Yeah,
murder
eyes.
hole.
Blue building murder hole.
Good shot.
Thank you, sir. You're good to push, G-Man. Go.
Going.
We're moving.
With you.
Stuck.
Breach, breach, breach. I'm with you, G-Man, as soon as you get in there.
Going.
We're internal.
Good.
On right.
With you. One down mid. Oh, I'm hurt. Bandaging.
He went up the stairs. The stairs are broken. He's on the second level.
Understood.
My side is slow. Would you chase him up?
I'm in.
He's up.
He's down. He's down. Mag.
Second
Hug the
floor
wall. Hug the
window.
wall. Hug the wall. Hey, I just took contact off my muzzle. Watch my left. Watch that.
Yeah,
Watch
with you,
that.
with you.
I'm working. Murder hole's right. Keep pushing. Our breach is black side. I'm stacked.
We're with you, with you.
Moving. Alright, we're in. Oh shit! I'm hurt.
Watch my long, please. I'm looking right.
Got your long.
Trust in the dream.
Mover, 12 o'clock. He's down.
You two on the roof. Grover, you're with me. We're going to the target building. Cover our approach. Break down when we get to the wall. Ready?
We're established rooftop.
Ready.
Moving.
Oh, Jesus. Mag, we're on the way.
We're holding, ready to push second floor. Careful when you come inside. We are on the northwest corner.
Eagles internal.
Eagles, Eagles, Eagles.
Eagles.
We're moving second floor. Shotgun, you're on point.
Bypass, bypass.
Flags coming down.
Gotcha. I think I know.
Troops in contact rooftop, heavy.
Pick a direction.
Coming to you. Gunbird is hurt, bandaging.
Hey boys, call if you need help. I'm working internal staircase.
Frag out.
Oh, God.
Coming to you, get cover. G-Man's hurt, bandaging.
Bro, we got one coming internal. Hey, firm. Over, check in. Grover, check in when able.
Grover, you alive?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Just engaged one on stairwell. Third squad, Iron Mountain convoy is on site.
Let's go.
We're
Nice
getting out
shot.
of here. We're making sure the compound is clear. We're done in here, Spartan.
I got voices, we're working right.
I got no flashlights in
Door
here.
left.
Dude, blind firing right there.
Audible front.
I got nothing in the alleyway.
Mortis, incoming!
Oh shit, mortar.
Oh, fuck.
We gotta push.
Run.
Dusty as shit.
Top
Working.
left, top left.
This gets complicated over here. Audible right. I'm plating. Push stairs. One down right.
We're up.
Pushing. Taking shots. Cover. So before you listen to my thoughts, I would encourage you guys to go down below in the comments and leave your immediate reaction to whatever you just saw. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. I want to hear your unfettered thoughts before you go on and watch any other videos from any other creators, or you listen to me jack my jaws for a second. With that out of the way, here's what I think about what I've seen so far in 6 Days in Fallujah. I'm not going to recount the entire story of 6 Days because that has been hit time and again by creators all over the internet and the media for that matter. Instead, I want to talk about only what I have experienced in the last week of playing the game. I've got about 6 hours in this version of the game, and in this build, the guys and I had access to the Fireteam Mission Game Mode. The Fireteam Mission Game Mode is a session-based cooperative experience where you spawn in with a simple objective like attacking, seizing, clearing an enemy headquarters, and then defending it from a counterattack. There's also secondary objectives that seem to be procedurally presented from mission to mission. These secondary objectives could be something like a weapons cache or a sniper or a mortar team that you can take out for bonus points but are not required to overall accomplish the mission. And the two things that immediately stood out to me about 6 Days in Fallujah, first, it is the environment. One of the things that the developers have talked about quite a bit is the way that they procedurally generate these missions. So there is no Fireteam mission map per se. You won't rotate through the same map over and over again. Instead, you'll see a completely different layout and completely different structures and completely different debris and completely different furnitures and completely different room layouts every single time you play the game. And it isn't a gimmick, guys. It works, and it works extraordinarily well. I've played 10 or 15 different Fireteam mission games at this point with the guys. Each one takes us 15 to 20 minutes to get through. We're successful about 50% of the time because it is actually pretty dang difficult and definitely requires a lot of teamwork and a lot of communication to get all the way to your objective, clear it, and then successfully defend from the counterattack. And yeah, the environment's just breathtaking. The game looks incredible. I'm running it on high settings. I have a RTX 2070 and an i7, so what I would kind of call a mid to upper mid range gaming rig at this time, and I'm able to play it with upscaling on in full screen mode, and it runs buttery smooth. I did tweak the settings a little bit to try to boost the frame rate in my capture, but when I'm not capturing, it's running at 60 plus frames reliably and looking absolutely gorgeous. The particle effects, the environment, the audio design, the sound design is all just really, really incredible. So the environment is really what stood out first and foremost. The second thing that jumped out to me isn't really one thing. It's like a set of 3 or 4 different little things that are all just these kind of fascinating and interesting game design decisions that I think are very innovative and things that I haven't seen in first-person tactical shooters before. And the first thing is the way that the aim-down sight mechanic works. Remember, the Battle of Fallujah, as it's reimagined in this game, occurred back in 2004. At that time, you know, the Marine Corps, particularly these guys that we are playing as in the game, were using M16s. A lot of guys had irons. Some guys, particularly those in leadership positions, might have had a Trigicon ACOG 4x optic on their rifle. These were not CQB guns by design. These are, you know, full-length M16s. It's not a modern-day Mark 18 with an M-LOK rail system. And for that reason, you don't have the luxury of these nice holographic sights or these like T2 red dots and stuff that we're used to seeing these days. So instead, Marines were trained in point shooting. So if you had that big magnified optic on top of your gun, you're trained to look over the top of that ACOG, aim down sights, and engage at close range. And you're able to do that in 6 days, and I think it works really well. And I found myself kind of seamlessly transitioning from that over the top of the sight point shooting mechanic and then dropping back down behind the sights for mid and longer range engagement. So that's one example of one of these kind of interesting little game design decisions that I thought were done extremely well. Another one that stood out to me was the way that the UI functions. You don't just see, you know, a HUD on your screen at all times. And by default, your HUD is going to be extremely minimalistic, and it'll only appear whenever there's some sort of contextual clue that you need to interact with on the screen. So it adds to this immersive experience where there's not all this clutter on the screen all the time. One thing about the HUD that I really did like was the way that they did the equipment and weapon and ammunition loadout. So in the bottom right corner of the screen by default, if I went to change a mag or check how much ammunition was in my magazine, I would not only see how many rounds are in my mag by doing that magazine check, I'll also see how many are remaining. But it doesn't just say, hey, you have 5 mags remaining. It shows you your kit, in this case, a flak vest that was standard issue in the Marine Corps 2004, and I can look at that kit and see how many mags are left on that kit. If you reload a mag halfway through dumping a magazine, you're going to have a partial mag on your kit. So there was many circumstances where, as I was doing tactical reloads throughout a mission, I would find myself towards the end of that mission cycling through mags and discovering that I have only partial mags remaining. As far as the kit and the roles, it seems like there is 4 main roles that you can select from, and I may be off on that, but off the top of my head, I believe it is 4. You're either the team leader or the squad leader role, and that guy has an M16 with an ACOG and a light. He also has a Beretta M9 9mm handgun and some handheld smoke and frags, if I remember correctly. There's a light machine gun, automatic rifleman who has an M249 saw. He also has a Beretta M9 pistol. Interestingly, that saw doesn't have a light on it, which would have kind of matched the loadout of the Marine Corps at the time. It makes sense. The pistol does, and then he also has handheld devices. There is a breacher, assistant rifleman kind of kit that has a shotgun, also has an M16. That M16 has irons on it with a flashlight, and I think that is it. Oh, and the squad leader, the team leader equivalent, also has an M203 40mm grenade launcher on his M16. I got a chance to play with all the kits. They all function phenomenally. They definitely each have a very specific and niche role that they fill, and they fill pretty dang well. As far as the cooperative gameplay and the interworkings of the team, I mean, you guys saw how complex these maps can become, and you don't have the luxury of getting to memorize them because they change every time you restart the mission. So you're never going to master a map, and so you have to count on teamwork. You're never going to have that just god tier map knowledge to be able to run through the whole thing with your eyes closed. And for that reason, teamwork is absolutely critical. The complexity of these levels, the amount of verticality, and the amount of little holes in the walls that we've been, referring to as murder holes, where a muzzle can just get stuck through there and start shooting at you. Partially damaged doors that people will fire through. It's just a very, very complex environment, and it takes a ton of teamwork to try to make sure that you have good security in all directions at all times in order to actually get to your building and get inside the building. The AI behavior is particularly noteworthy. Everything I've seen so far indicates a very fun AI that is also not stupid. So the AI, as you guys, saw in some of those clips, will do things like hide behind doors. They will fire through murder holes and damage doors. They will blind fire around corners. And overall, I think they behave pretty dang well. On occasion, they'll do silly things like run out into the open. But there are so many AI in these maps that I think it's appropriate to have a very aggressive AI that will push you, and they will definitely do that. They'll scale walls, they'll maneuver on you, and you will be caught off guard, and they will challenge you because they do things that are very surprising and that I don't see replicated in other games, essentially anywhere. So I'm very pleased with the way that the AI is behaving as of yet. You'll also take indirect fire from mortars. You'll take precision fire from snipers. These are kind of asymmetric and different threats that you're not used to feeling whenever you're just going up against line infantry equivalent enemy. All of a sudden, mortar rounds will start falling, and it'll really make you amp up the pace and continue to move. Another really interesting game design decision that I liked a lot is the way that the game handles wounds and deaths. So if you take fire and you are damaged in 6 days in Fallujah, you don't know that you're actually losing blood until you perform a blood sweep. So you'll hear the bullet impact, you'll see your screen kind of gray out, but it's difficult to tell whether or not you've actually been successfully engaged, or if perhaps the vest caught the round, or if you are just being suppressed. So once you get that indicator on screen by it just being grayed out and kind of the sound going wishy-washy, you have to move to cover, go static, take a knee, then your avatar will automatically perform a blood sweep, and at that point you'll discover whether or not you are actually bleeding. If you don't perform that blood sweep and you are actually bleeding, you will eventually bleed out. Some wounds you can heal yourself by simply bandaging yourself, and you'll perform an animation. Sometimes it's, putting some quick clot on the wound and then wrapping it with a pressure dressing, and sometimes it'll go for a leg or an arm. It all just depends on how you're wounded. And if you're unable to heal yourself and your wound is more severe, a teammate will have to come to you and come to your aid. Under those circumstances, you can still move around just a little bit and try to get out of cover or get out of a fatal funnel, but you can't move around very quickly. And then, of course, you can be killed outright. And I showcased a clip in the video whereby we saw Grover trying to pick me up, and he didn't have great security while he was doing that, so another enemy came around the corner and ended up killing both of us from the rear. All in all, 6 days in Fallujah. They've been quiet, but my guys are on the verge of delivering what I think is going to be a fantastic shooter. It is a cross-platform tactical shooter. It's bringing this genre to a much wider audience. I think it is a net positive. The game appears in the state that I have been playing it to be highly polished. It runs excellent, and I cannot wait to see what the campaign has in store. Guys, make sure you stick around to the channel. Might have the opportunity to showcase more of this game in the future. Certainly once it finally releases, I will be eager to run through the entire campaign with the guys and share that in its entirety with all of you. I hope you did enjoy today's video. I hope it was a pleasant surprise. This is one I've been sitting on for a week, and I have been extremely stoked to publish so you guys could check it out. And you can now join me in the hype train. Again, I'm eager to hear your feedback on what you think the state of the game appears to be right now down in the comments below. I am Controlled Pairs, and believe it or not, this is 6 days in Fallujah, and I will see you guys in the next one.